Okay, so this is the VIM4 from Khadas, which is released on the 10th of May 2022, and I've already done a video on Android on it, and it ran really well. Ubuntu 22.04 LTS has just come out, and it's great. And this was installed using Oowow, which you'll see in my previous video. It's basically an auto installer that can install an operating system, download it and install it to the eMMC drive, and it all works really well. Previously, when I first got this board, Ubuntu 20.04, which is still showing up on there, I wouldn't bother with that one because it doesn't work well at all. This, however, works great, and the App Store works really nicely, and everything I've tried on it so far has been fine. So let's just put my password in. And let's put something on to deal with photographs. So let's go with GIMP, and let's click on that, mark for installation, and mark all of that, and apply. And that will go ahead and install all of that. I've used the same process for Firefox, which this build Firefox didn't work. All you do is go into this, type in Firefox, and it does a fix on it, but I've manually installed with Synaptic, Chromium and VLC and Handbrake, and even I think Raspberry Pi Imager was on there. So if I wanted to install images for my Raspberry Pi, then I can use that just the same as I would on a Raspberry Pi, or in fact a Windows computer or a Mac, and it works really nicely, nice and fast. Okay, so that's all done, so let's close that down. And let's open a few programs while we've got this open. So files, let's open LibreOffice Writer, let's open Raspberry Pi Imager again, let's open the terminal, VLC and Chromium. So we've got quite a few things that are open at the moment. If I press the Windows key, that will show me all the apps that are currently running. So if I was to go into, where is Chromium? Chromium's down here, and do a search, BBC Sport. The web browser performance is very fast. It really does work nicely. I've been playing around with it. I've had multiple tabs open and haven't had any issues. Also, YouTube performance is good as well. In fact, let's try YouTube performance, but we'll try it with all these other things open and see, because we've got 8 gig of RAM on here, so we should be able to cope with it. We've also got an octa-core processor as well, which is nice and fast. So PSP video HDR, and I've just been using this as an OS, just searching for things online, downloading operating systems, playing around with things, checking out things on my network and all sorts, and it's performed really well. So let's go straight into this. So this is a 4K video, but my monitor is only 1080. And what's it playing at the moment? So it's playing at 1080. Let's turn on Stats for Nerds and show how that's working. So at the moment we dropped 6 frames of 445, but it doesn't seem to be dropping any more frames. Let's go up to 1440. Again, it's a 1080 monitor, but it will still play the 1440 stream. And we'll see how many frames we drop on that. So 3, 5, 8. We are dropping some frames on 1440. It looks alright, but it is dropping. Yeah, you don't detect it looking at the video, but it is definitely dropping some frames at 1440. Obviously, this is early software. The board isn't even out yet, so really I would stick to 1080 at this stage. I might plug it into my 4K TV later and have a play around with that. But yeah, not dropping frames at 1080, so nice to see, but it is capable of 4K. Obviously, this is all to do with what software we get for this board. And also, I'm running loads of things at the moment, so maybe I should try 1440, but closing some of these things down, that would help. So let's show how quick all of these things close down. So yeah, definitely quite a lot running there, and that's just telling you about Ubuntu. Let's click back on that. I really do like Ubuntu 22.04 as an operating system. It's just really nice to use. Right, so let's go back to 1440. I've got nothing else running now. Oh, and I was told to press F for full screen, and clearly that works. Nice. So at the moment I haven't got Stats for Nerds on. It looks pretty good. This bit always looks a bit jittery on lots of things. That's sort of when it's zooming in. So let's hit Stats for Nerds and see. Yeah, we are consistently dropping some frames at 1440 at 30 FPS. I wonder what happens if I try it on Firefox. So let's press escape. You can see how everything, I'm trying to keep all this in real time to just show how it works. So if I start typing in Firefox and then launch that, this launches pretty quick as well, and I'll play that same video, and I think I was getting better results. I think this was working in 1440. So YouTube, and you can see it is nice and snappy. It feels like quite a powerful computer really. Running this version of Ubuntu, it doesn't feel slow at all. So Lee, PSP video, I think the HDR always comes up, yeah, and let's start playing that. And straight into the advert, you know, really quick the way it launches everything. There doesn't seem to be any delay or anything. So what's it on at the moment? Oh, it's already on 1440. So let's turn on Stats for Nerds. And let's press F to go full screen. Yeah, that is definitely better than having to find the icon. Right, so 17, 19, 20 frames dropped. But it does appear to have stabilized. 21 frames. But looking at the screen, it looks pretty decent. Let's try full 4K and see what that does. Again on a 1080 monitor. So is it gonna, yeah, it's already a bit pretty jittery. It looks nice and crisp, but yeah, it's definitely dropping loads of frames. So not 4K at this stage, but maybe more optimization can be done. Maybe when it's windowed it will look better. Yeah, that's definitely dropping less frames. And let's just try a web search on this as well. So BBC Sport, and launch that, and then Hot UK Deals, and let's launch that. Just because it's got a lot of images in it. I'm not sponsored, as I was asked about before. Yeah, so you can see, oh, we've got to accept the cookies, but yeah, it's working nicely and coping with that. I was expecting 4K to work with VLC, but I can't really get it to properly work. If I do, well, let's just close some of these tabs down. If I do Control O, you can open files through Firefox, and I figured I'd try this because the video performance seemed to be pretty good, and the 1080 file works absolutely fine. So this is 1080-60 from my GoPro, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was my GoPro. And if I go back to that folder and try and play the Samsung Red Bull, this is a 4K 60, and loads of things don't seem to be able to play it. I mean, it is a very high quality TV demo, but if I try and open it with, well, if I try and open it by default, I think it tries to go to VLC, and I think VLC tries to play it. Oh no, this is MPV Media Player, which is the one built in. But if I right click it and do open with and do VLC and select, let's see what happens here. Yeah, it tries to play it and it does show it, but it's definitely not playing it in full speed. So it would already be properly into the video by now, and it's still on that sort of first picture. If I scrub through, you can see that, yeah, it doesn't, at this early stage, doesn't cope with 4K. So let's close that down. And I was going to try Handbrake, which is something I've done recently on my Pi, just to see how quickly it converts this file. So this is a 1080-60 file. If I pick, so General and Fast 720-30, which I did in my other video, and let's open that file on the desktop. Where is the desktop? Is it under other? Oh, is it under Home? Yeah, Home Desktop. Test. Open that up, and let's hit Start and see how quick this does it. So how long does it say it's going to take? So it usually comes up with an estimate on the bottom here. So well, it says estimated 17 seconds. Yeah, it seems to be going pretty quick. Obviously, I'll only know when I've edited this as to how long it took, but I'll put it up on the screen to show how long it took. As soon as the screen twitches, I take that it's done, but you can see encode complete is shown up on the top there. Okay, so editing the video, I found that the Khadas VIM4 did that process in 34.7 seconds, and the Pi 400 overclocked at 2400, which was the fastest I could get it to overclock stable, was 1 minute 0.58 hundredths of a second. So yeah, definitely very fast on that test. That's really impressive. So I need to use my NAS drive and get some images off here, and I'll put them into a document because I want to play around with that and see how it looks. So if I do other locations, it finds my NAS drive straight away. And I don't know what pictures these are, but let's just copy them into the pictures folder and have a play around with those. Let's paste that in. So let's right click one of these images. I've got rid of a couple of them because there was people in them, and I'm sure they don't want to be in my video. So open with ViewNoir, and if I hammer the arrow button, you can see I can flick through these. These are, I reckon, 3.3 megapixel pictures. I'm trying to remember what camera it was from. If I right click and do properties, this was, when I used to work for a Sony centre, I borrowed this camera, and it was about a £600 camera at the time. Does it not tell you the date? That's a shame it doesn't show the date on there, but this is, yeah, this is really early on in digital photography. Let's have a look and see if I can play around with them with GIMP. So if I start typing GIMP, you can see it comes up and I can launch that. And let's see how fast, yeah, that's launching nice and fast as well. So it's not struggling with that, it's whipping through all of that. So, and this is the first time I've launched this. So file, open, so pictures, and let's pick, which one shall I have? I'll go with that one, and open. So let's go into filters, and let's try emboss, and then Control Z to go back. Let's try one more, artistic, and water pixels. Just thinking about that one. And it's done it, so let's hit OK. So let's export that image. I don't use this software very much, so I'm not that clued up on it, but you can see it's going to do it as a JPEG, which is going to be compatible with LibreOffice Writer. So let's export that to the desktop and export. Yeah, that was nice and fast. Let's leave that up and running. Let's open Writer, and let's do File and Insert and Image. Right, okay, and open. Yeah, that imported nice and quick. And what's it like resizing it? Yeah, so you could definitely do your homework on something like this. No worries at all. And let's pop some, I've got some web links for Khadas in here. And let's go through a few things on the site. So key features, this was worth looking at. Yeah, that opened with Firefox as standard. So you can see this is a close-up of the board. It comes with the fan. I didn't know in my previous video if it comes with the fan or not, but let's go through a few features. HDMI input I haven't had working yet. I was suggested to try 50 FPS on the input, but I tried that. I couldn't get it to work. I tried it with OBS, I tried it with Cheese, I tried it with VLC, and I couldn't. But obviously this is early days, and none of the documentation is up. So when you go to the site, I'll show that in a minute, the documentation isn't up, but it's planned to be out before the board releases. So as what's it, the 5th of May, I'm doing this video, and it will be up very soon. So we've got the Mali 800 MHz GPU supporting 4K. Hopefully they'll get that working properly with games and emulation. That'll be great to see on this board. It was working really well in Android. I've tried Dolphin and I've tried PPSSPP, but again, it's early on. I just haven't got it working yet. 8 gig of RAM and the Oowow system, which I think is great, really, really impressive. So let's close that and show you what it comes with. So it comes in a nice package with the QR code to give you all the links. It comes with a Bluetooth and a Wi-Fi antenna with the device. So if you're going to put it into a case, that's probably going to mean that you're going to get better wireless support. But also it comes with this fan and it comes with this heatsink. So if I scroll down, there you go, talks about all the accessories and everything. I'll put a link to this in the description. There's some other accessories you can get for it. I've been using an ordinary Raspberry Pi power adapter and it's been absolutely fine. An 18-watt power adapter. Now Oowow, which is the bootloader, which basically allows you to install different operating systems and do loads of other things. Again, I showed that in my previous video. If I right click on this and edit it, because if I click on it, it's just going to download the file. So if we go to this URL and probably get rid of the end of it, let's do paste, but let's get rid of that bit, yeah. So back to system. This shows you the various images of Oowow, and this one here is the one that I've written to an SD card. So if you write it to an SD card, and I use Raspberry Pi Imager, that becomes a way of doing the Oowow system that's normally built in, but I was messing about with it, and I managed to wipe it, and I haven't worked out how to get it back on yet. But I haven't asked the question. There isn't any documentation on this yet, but I thought because I'd got around it by managing to write it to an SD card, I would live with that and wait till the documentation comes out and then put the Oowow system back on, and then I'll be up and running with that. But it works perfectly fine from an SD card. In fact, I'll show that now. So the VIM4 uses a full-size HDMI, but I've had to use this slim HDMI because I want to be able to put in the SD card and take it out without actually having to remove the cable. And if you use a standard HDMI cable, there isn't actually enough room to be able to get the card in and out. But with this slim one, I can slot the card in and I can take it out. I don't have to think about it. And while I've been doing this video, that's actually been left in there. So I'm going to put it into there. And this cable was a bit of a weird one. I bought it from my Motorola laptop. It's HDMI to female micro. Then I've got a male micro to female HDMI, then a normal HDMI cable going through my screen capture device. But anyway, let's start this up and show you what happens with the Oowow boot from an SD card. So it actually comes up with a separate menu on the screen. So let's go back into screen capture. Let's just have a look if there's any new images. So write image to eMMC, downloads, and refresh image list. And yeah, it's the same. So this is the 32-bit version of Android 11, which I reviewed in my previous video, which was excellent, but loads of things run on 64-bit, so there are definitely going to be things that don't work. But on the Khadas forums, one of their team members has said that they're actually working on the 64-bit version, which will be great because then hopefully we'll be able to get the Dolphin emulator working on there, which will give us GameCube and Wii support. And maybe I can try my Dolphin bar on there and get Wii light gun games working on it as well. That would be really, really impressive to see. The other thing that's really important for Android is the Google Play Store. So if they can sort out GApps on there. I was going to try and see if I could follow maybe a Consta video and see if I could kind of adapt GApps to work with it. But as it's the 32-bit version, I realised that things like GTA San Andreas aren't going to be able to work until it's 64-bit. So I'll wait for the 64-bit and then I'll have a play around with that. But yeah, that'll be really nice to see. And it'll be great to see lots of operating systems popping up in here. I cover the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi is without doubt the best supported system you can buy. So it's not as powerful as the VIM4. As we've seen from the videos, I mean, the YouTube performance on the VIM4 is amazing. It's definitely faster on Handbrake. The Android performance is excellent. Obviously, it's a new board and it's likely to be a lot more expensive than a Raspberry Pi. But the Pi, what makes it so strong is the community and the fact that you can get so much on it. Let's see what happens with the VIM4 and how Khadas deal with this. But to be regularly updating the software, as I say, 2204 came nice and quick. And if they're already working on the 64-bit version of Android, I'll be happy for quite some time anyway. Now, just to show Neofetch, so you can see here Ubuntu 2204 LTS on Arch 64, running GNOME 42, and you can see it detects the 8 cores are there as well. So let's close that down, and on here we can see that this is also running on Wayland as well. So I've done a video recently about Wayland and sort of testing that, but it does seem to be very stable in this version. So thanks very much to Khadas for sending me this board. I've really enjoyed trying it out. For the Linux side, what would be really nice to see is something like PiApps or PiKiss, which is a way of installing various different things designed for x86 computers or x64 computers, but actually converted to run on ARM, because it's quite a difficult process to do. And still, you know, ARM-based computers are definitely going to get stronger and stronger. We're going to see more and more of them. But from now on, it's definitely going to be all about the software. But I really look forward to Android 64-bit because I think that's one of the things this board is definitely going to shine on. Anyway, I hope all this helps. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.